Welcome to the Lila Life Show. I am your host, Linda Andrews. I am pumped to be with you today. I have a great episode for you all, and just a reminder that I am on a mission to help well-being and business architecture or business fundamentals be accessible for early stage founders, pre-revenue to $1 million ARR, and to give techniques, strategies to traverse that journey in a way that feels in alignment to you. If you have no idea what 1 million ARR is, annual recurring revenue, you have no desire to be hitting $1 million in annual recurring revenue. Well, if you're pre-revenue and you want to make some revenue, I think these tips and strategies will work for you. And who knows, you may expand your idea of what's possible for your business because of these conversations. If you don't have a business, maybe you are business curious, you have a career, you are a stay-at-home fill in the blank, you're a caretaker, wherever you find yourself in the world, I also think that these strategies and conversations could be helpful. At a minimum, kind of fun. I try to have fun here. I do have fun, right? Lila means divine play. So I am having fun. I hope you are having fun. I'm laughing at my shirt today. It's the Palm Beach Boat Show or the West Palm Beach Boat Show. And I feel like a boater with my shirt on today for those of you on YouTube. So we are going to dive in. I've been noticing many people in a season of struggle, in a season of challenge. Personally, I feel like I came out of that over the past several years. It's been interesting to say the least, but it's been fun to navigate and tap into different and more cavernous parts of myself and find the next level of evolution and expression from there. So I share that with you because challenge and struggle are a part of life. The full spectrum of emotions is a part of life. And this real life stuff can have a real impact in your business, in your personal dynamics in life. So, how to navigate that? One thing that I want to stress, like the biggest reason I'm doing this episode today, is habits and patterns. As you're restructuring your habits and patterns, right? You're deciding to crowd out old habits and patterns with new habits and patterns. I remember I was pretty young that I had this aha moment of like, oh my gosh, life is so many habits and patterns. That was before I studied anything of neuroscience, and younger Linda was onto something because so much of life is habits and patterns. And so when you're taking a conscious approach to creating new habits and patterns and being at those beginning phases of getting the impacts of that and the compounding of that, which over time just increase more and more and more. And then you have that kind of inflection point or the big, hockey stick curve where they're really paying off. And I look in my life and I can see different ways that I've layered in habits and patterns. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that stuff works. That stuff pays off. And you don't see it at the beginning. And you're not as good at it at the beginning. And you're barely doing it at the beginning. But then, you remember, oh, that felt good. Oh, that extra 20 minutes of morning yoga, that felt really great. I noticed a considerable difference in my day and the person that I was. I'm going to do that again tomorrow. And how you can layer in these habits and patterns in your well-being, in your business that can really support the desired outcomes and the visions that you're stepping into. And it's so simple. Some of these habits and patterns take on a life as their own. They become systems, right? In business, they're your SOPs, but they just start with something. And my favorite example of this, it's so silly, but Gary Vee, if you follow him, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, look him up. He's a master marketer for New Jersey. I have a special place in my heart for New Jersey, as many other places in the world. But New Jersey with Gary Vee, he has these videos of the wine library, and they are so shitty. No offense, Gary Vee. Like, they're so basic and the tech is so different. But you know what? He's doing it. And he's doing hundreds, if not thousands of, I think it's thousands of the wine library videos. And when I'm about to record it, I'm like, I could just do it, whatever. I'm just like, remember how shitty Gary Vee's stuff was? Like, just do it. Get the reps in. Like, it will take on a life of its own if you just get the reps in. And I share that with you because at times of my worst struggle, there were these little anchors of health supportive habits and patterns that are full of well-being for me and that ripple out from there. And I just encourage you to take a look at your life right now and see, like, what is aching for you to give some of your time, energy, attention, and money to, so that you can literally just implement that in your life and things will get better. When we are in those times of despair or challenge or struggle, it can be hard to take those steps sometimes. I understand this, but if you have any in the tank to give, and you can redirect some of your energy forces to something different, it will pay off over time. And sometimes you don't see that at the beginning. Okay. Specifically to your business, that alignment with your mission, vision, values, purpose, right? That realignment, the alignment and the realignment, the recommitment. Why are you doing this? Where are you going? How are you getting there? Right? And why? Why, where, how, and the values are the guide rails, right? It's like you're in the car, mission, that's how you're getting there, the vision, where you're going, GPS, where you're going, purpose. Why? Why are you doing this? Is this juicy enough that it's going to get you going every day when you do have a day of despair, something crazy is going on, and you just have to do one little thing, but even the one little thing feels like too much? And then the values. And you get to align and realign with this and have your habits and patterns be set up to support these. I see, especially at the early stages of business, there is neglect and avoidance happening. And that's happening simultaneous to typically slow decision making or indecision. And so those two things combined, avoidance, neglect, slow decision making, it's just making everything harder for longer, because the only way that this gets better and better and better is by you doing it and doing it in alignment with where you want to go. And so I cannot stress the importance. Like I rolled my eyes so much at mission, vision, values, purpose. Like I have heard this so many times for so many years, at least 12, if not 15 years. I just in this past year understood, oh my gosh, that's where it lies. These are the gems. So just remember this. This is the frame for today's conversation, because I trust that no matter what you are going through, if you took a look at your habits and patterns and made some adjustments, things would change. And that's how the changes happen. So something that I'm seeing come up a bit more and more, financial pressure, and how that can relate to your partner, your life partner, your marriage partner, whatever partner, if you're a caretaker, if you're in business, your teammates, wherever, whoever you got going on as relationship to these different dynamics that are relating to money. And this again, like, hey, one more reason to get those habits and patterns in check, including honest dialogue with yourself, honest dialogue with these key stakeholders, and being proactive about it. I believe every financial situation is figure outable. I do believe that we are in heightened times of financial stress and uneasiness and questions and all these things, but it's like that doesn't mean that everything stops and it's not to be tended to, right? And any of the worst things that I've gotten myself into, the only way I could get myself out of them was facing them and having to really understand the situation and getting out of them. And I've dealt with some pretty weird, tough stuff at times. So I get like, oh my gosh, but you don't get my situation. All I know is the one thing that was true in all those situations was that I had to face it completely and fully understand it, understand my blind spots, understand my learning curves, understand my gaps, and make those then steps. So if you are feeling the pressure, know your numbers. Get so into the numbers, make cuts where you can, simplify where you can. If you have the means, delegate where you can, outsource where you can. And if you have the means, or right, you're in your business and you're like, oh, this is a time suck, this is a time suck, this is a time suck. There's more options available now than ever to be able to outsource and delegate at very reasonable costs, that you're giving other people an opportunity to do work they couldn't otherwise have done. All right, so those are my thoughts around financial pressure and the communication with partners. These conversations start with yourself first and your partner or teammate second, but being able to have all stakeholders involved be on the same page. You can support each other, you can navigate it together, you can figure it out together, you can swap business books together. Very key. The only way financial management gets implemented on the personal or business side is you do it. And I truly think it's fair to say that every single person is bad at some point in their life doing financial management. And the only way they got better was by doing it and getting the reps in. And if you're noticing a common theme, that's because there is a common theme. And so starting now, learning now, prioritizing this in alignment with those business milestones, making sure that you're putting in these habits and systems that can connect to the milestones as part of that financial management. And the communication from here becomes so empowered, the numbers being this fact-based phenomenon, like, oh, look, like we can literally see this is how much we spent. Whoa, did we need to buy that? And I see the same pattern show up on the personal and the business side. And so the acronym for CEO, cut costs, eliminate, optimize expenses. It's like pretty much the same thing. Where can you cut? Are you getting everything out of what you're paying for? Can you simplify? Can you delegate? These are just common questions that if you can get in the habit of asking yourself, it may not always be the right move, but at some point it'll be the right move. And so starting to get that pulse, that rhythm with the conversation so you can understand it. And again, recruiting in those other stakeholders. And this takes trust, it takes self-trust, it takes building confidence. It's one little milestone at a time. I am here for that, absolutely. Okay, so what's going on? You have these habits and patterns. What gets prioritized? You have an idea of where you want to go, and you're prioritizing what will help you get there. You have a clear idea of where you want to go, and you're prioritizing the how you want to get there. And a clear vision and what aspects of that vision that you can handle, say in the next year, and then the next 3 months. Being realistic about that, smart goals, specific, measurable, achievable, reasonable, time defined. And then you're prioritizing from there, right? Making those time blocks, starting the habit. It's like, what do I need to prioritize? It's like, start with whatever's the biggest headache in your life. Oh, your house is a mess, your money's out of order, you haven't done 6 months of the business finances. Like, just start with whatever's stressing you out the most. Sometimes I've in my life gotten myself to such a panic point of things that I literally stop everything and I'm like, this has to get sorted out right now. Because it's just like, I cannot let this go on any longer at all. At all. So think about that as you're putting this into place here. Also, being aware of blind spots and gaps. What are you leaving out? What are you neglecting? What are you avoiding? How can you start to get that in the mix? And this can go as fast or slow as you want it to go. This can go as fast or slow as you want it to go. The thing is, the faster you go, likely the more radical changes are that you're going to have to make. And the subconscious mind is like, oh, hell no. I don't know what that is about, but I am not about it. Keep me safe. We're not going to make those changes. We're not doing new habits and patterns, right? It's like putting the fear alarms so that you can feel like, don't do it. And it's going to happen every time, every single time. I think this stuff is pretty subtle and sneaky. So you just have to be aware, being aware of your own psychology, being aware of what works for you, being aware of how to apply a little bit of pressure to yourself. I think really everybody could have ADD at this point. Like, the tech is so good. There is anything for anyone everywhere all the time. Like, it's a distracting place. It is a distracting place. And if you can understand that that dynamic is going on and start to master distractions and like build that as a new muscle, prioritizing building that muscle, that's a powerful prospect. So we can't be talking about all this without talking about personal responsibility. You know, these decision-making processes, if you take full ownership and full personal responsibility in every single decision you make, can feel a little intense at first, but then it's like, this is all my responsibility. That includes when you're working with others. And what's so beautiful about that is when you take full responsibility for what's yours, they can clearly see what is theirs. And when we don't take personal responsibility, it can be a little bit cloudy. No, that's on them. This is on me. Well, what if I take personal responsibility for everything that's in my sphere and what I can control about that? What does that look and feel like? Because I'm either neglecting or avoiding or I'm prioritizing and I'm doing, and it's all on me because it's all on me. And you can have that while being in healthy relationship with others. That is the interdependence. So experiment with that a bit, but this personal responsibility can unlock so much because it's like, yeah, it is all on you. This is all on you. And yes, you are in relationship with this other person, but it's all on you. How can you then reclaim whatever you have neglected? Let it be all on you, and then be in communication because it's not only a personal responsibility, but also a shared responsibility, and relating to your partner, to your teammate, whoever that conversation is with, from that educated, empowered, you took ownership, they took ownership, and two, doing that together makes more than two in this scenario. Supercharged. I'm feeling blessed lately, extra lately. I always feel blessed, but it's been really cool being married for years and seeing little ways that this evolves, and like that dynamic in relationship where me taking ownership and not neglecting my shit and letting it fall on my partner, right? That doesn't need to be the cycle, and how empowered that I can feel. And there's just a beauty in that ripple effects out to everything else. And I highly recommend it if you're into experiments. Personal responsibility. Oh, let's get wild. All right. So lastly, getting organized. There's got to be some process that you can check in with your mission, vision, values, where you're headed, any kind of goal or milestone, the habits that you're using. I love BestSelf Co. Shout out BestSelf Co. You can use promo code Lila Life. I've been using BestSelf Co. for, I want to say, 18 months now, pretty religiously, and it's awesome. It lets you see a very honest picture of where you're at and what you're not doing, and you get to do some self-exploration around why. And it's like the first planner that I've been ready to use that has felt very easy for me to do that with. It's very fun. And I have been buying some really cute highlighters to really love using my BestSelf Co. So finding a way, though, my point is to check in with this. I put on the cover page of my BestSelf Co. my mission, vision, values, purpose, so that I can be really clear, and I'm adding to that problem so I can connect that to the problem I'm solving in business, which is, early stage entrepreneurship can feel isolating and lonely and confusing and overwhelming and debilitating and every single thing that it can feel. And Lila Life is here to be your business meets well-being resource on the business fundamentals and the well-being side. So this, again, that's for me. That's the process that's worked for me. How can you check in with yourself? How can you create some focus? How can you create that check-in with, oh, this is what I'm aiming towards focusing on. These are the guide rails. This is how I'm getting there. And so that every day you're clipping into that, and the 90 million distractions do not derail you from that. It takes discipline, it takes consistency, and it also takes you meeting yourself exactly where you are. And I just love this because I couldn't meditate. I could sit still for 1 minute. And 7 years ago, I started a meditation practice, and now it's been 7 years, right? So I went from barely a minute to 20 minutes daily for 7 years. And the only thing that could get me to that point is doing that for 7 years. And that's where all of these compound, right? And you really start to see the benefits, and it works. But it only happens by you starting and continuing it. So I hope you all have had as much fun with me. This message has been on my heart, really about the layering of the habits and the patterns and the systems, and just that this whole journey of life is a spiral. If you studied spiral dynamics, it's a spiral. We're going up, we're going up, we're going up. We're on this feedback loop, understanding, learning, growing, having more awareness, doing it again, new problems, new issues, new stressors, but I have all these tools and they've compounded. And so to me, it's like such the no-brainer. Get this stuff implemented in your life. Get to know yourself, understand yourself on these deeper levels. And as always, have that Lila going, the divine play. Let that immerse your spirit, immerse your soul, and guide you every step of the way. I send you so many blessings and love and support. Thank you so much for tuning in. Like, share, subscribe. I would love it if you could send this to a friend. And I will see you next time on the Lila Life Show. Take care.